Recently, we had a chance to chat with some young university students who were members of the National Integrity Action Club, I suppose it is, at the university. It was quite rewarding to see a room full of young people who cared about the issue of integrity. Sometimes we wonder whether in this post-factual world, if things like that matter, or it's just about hustling and what we can get for ourselves. Integrity, out the window. So let's hear some of the questions and some of their thoughts on this important area.
Sir Bunting, I've followed your work when you were the Minister of National Security. I admire what you did with your focus on crime has been our major hindrance to actual growth and prosperity. Where I was reading statistics where say our cost spent on crime is equal to what we have earned over the since gaining independence. And your emphasis on crime, I saw where it was beneficial to the country during your tenure. What influence do you still have over those policies that would be revoked? Even though they are good policies or good suggestions, what influence do you have to actually have the now Minister of National Security actually look at them as viable options instead of the opposition proposing this and you don't want to do it, you want your own plan? Why throw away something that isn't broken for something new?
Okay. Well, one of the unfortunate things about our system of government, it's a sort of adversarial system, and it's dominated by the executive. So whoever wins the election forms the executive, and the other MPs are referred to as the opposition. And unfortunately, the culture has developed where, oppositions oppose. But there's not a history of a lot of cooperation between government and opposition. So I make my suggestions to the minister, given that I've 4 times the experience he has in that seat. But the tradition has been they're reluctant to be seen to be following the advice of their predecessor, and they want to cut their own path.
I've been living on Maxfield for 21 years, right? And over the years, it has been known as one of the most violent plague communities in Jamaica.
It might seem like nothing has changed because you're young, the span is relatively short. But I can tell you, if you look at the statistics, in Area 4, which includes Maxfield, really, Kingston and Southern St. Andrew is called Area 4. Yeah. The murders there have actually been cut by about half over the last 10 or 15 years. No, the truth is that they're still way too high. So what you are experiencing is still maybe 5 times what you should be experiencing in terms of violent crime. The thing is that 10 or 15 years ago, it was 10 times. So while you may not, in terms of your personal experience, feel like there's been any difference, there actually has been a difference.
I'd like to know what kind of advice you could give to young entrepreneurs. We are new, but we have good ideas.
A lot of people think they should leave school and go straight into starting their own business. That can happen, but you increase the risk of failure. When I left school, I knew I didn't want to spend my life working for people. I wanted to be my own boss. My first job was at Citibank in their corporate banking. Citibank, an international bank, so it gives you tremendous exposure. I was in their corporate bank, so that exposed me to Grace Kennedy, Jamaica Broilers, Mawson, all the big Jamaican companies. And I worked like a demon, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And all my friends would laugh at me. You're a 25-year-old, that's the time you must live life and go party and, enjoy yourself. And I worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And them say, boy, how you love the white man so we own Citibank and this and that, and we are work like slave for him. I was working, it appeared like a slave for him, but what I was really doing was working to find out everything I could about banking and finance in the shortest possible time. So after 2.5 years of experience, I was able to leave and start a bank, raising my own venture capital to do that. And so it's really good if you have an idea that you want to get into a particular type of business, leave school, spend a couple of years learning and having first-hand experience in that business, building networks so that when you go out there, you know who are the people you need to be your key customers, your key suppliers, etc. You understand the business, not just on paper, but from
My
inside
second
out.
question was on the issue where you're supposed to find a new commissioner for the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and they wanted to outsource that person because, he outside the force, outside Jamaica for someone, because Jamaica police don't have integrity or so forth, or they don't have qualified individual. Well, I am looking to, when I leave university, to join the force. I as a university graduate now, what opportunities or what incentives are there for me if I'm to join the force when everyone is saying it's best if I leave and go America or somewhere is going to do something else?
My own view is crime has been such a persistent and huge obstacle to development in this country that we should look for the best possible candidate available to do that job. No, not just if there is a great candidate who is outside the JCF, we should not eliminate them because there may be persons who are qualified. No doubt there are persons who are qualified. But when you're filling a post of a CEO, you want the best possible person. Whether if they come from within the organization, great. But if you can get a much better candidate from outside, then you get them from outside. That's my own view.
What are your views of the current Minister of Security in terms of his plan for crime?
I think he's misplaced. I think he's a very capable politician. And I don't want to put him down in any general personal way. But you ever heard the term, there are horses for courses? I think he would do much better in another portfolio. I don't think his skills are best suited to this particular portfolio. For example, you asked about the used car policy that he's embarked upon. It's a misguided policy.
So Bountin, you mentioned about your love for integrity. What I want to ask is, why did you consider going in politics, considering the political culture in Jamaica?
I'm in politics because I want to make a difference. Basically, I want to improve people's lives, and I see politics as a vehicle to do that. Not the only vehicle, and sometimes I feel it's not the most effective vehicle because we spend so much time, adversarially against each other. I really wonder. But that's why I went into politics.
What do you think about the comment that the current Minister of Security passed in relation to fighting crime about my uncle is an Obia man too? So I'd like your view on that. What are your views on the Obia man comment, seeing that crime and violence is such a sensitive matter?
Well, remember, some of you may remember years ago, I asked for divine intervention? Yes. It was not the Obia man I was thinking about. That was not what I meant when I asked about that. But interestingly, I probably got more beaten up for saying we need divine intervention than Bobby has got for the Obia man comment. Quite frankly, I think he was just trying to make a joke. He likes to get a forward, like to get a response from the crowd, and I think that was what it was about.
Good afternoon. So my question was based on the comment that Ian Boyne made about curtailing civil liberties as a way of deterring crime. I was wondering if that should be instilled, what would be the major repercussions for Jamaica?
Curtailing civil liberties, really giving up some of our human rights in the interest of fighting crime and making it safer. Well, you know, I was actually quite disappointed in Ian making that comment, because he's usually more thoughtful, and we've tried that road many times over decades. A whole generation of police officers grew up under what was called the Suppression of Crimes Act, which was passed originally in the 70s, and I think was repealed like 20 years later in the 90s.
Oh, so my question is regarding Indicom. The whole institution
Indicom, for a honest policeman, is actually a good thing, because what it will do, every policeman who's out there on the front line and is engaging armed criminals will, from time to time, be forced to return deadly force. In the past, before Indicom, that person, there would always be a cloud hanging over their head. Whether did they participate in an extrajudicial killing, or was it a proportionate response and legal response? Because you have a right to defend yourself or others, right, against criminals. And so what Indicom has actually done is that it now can vindicate the good policemen who respond appropriately, and it prosecutes those who are participating in extrajudicial killings. It's a relatively new innovation in our system, and therefore there's a sort of natural tug, pull one way versus the other. The pendulum has to swing both ways before it sort of settles. I think there have been legitimate cases of policemen saying that Indicom has perhaps been overzealous in some of their investigations and their approaches. But I think on balance, it is going to inure to making our police force more professional and more accountable. A worthwhile afternoon spent with some interesting students who seem to be fully engaged in what is taking place in their country, and they're excited about the possibilities for the future.